Background, just make sure I see us on there. Hello, coaches. How are you this morning? We are back again today, and I am excited about our podcast guest that we have on today, Ms. Becca Briggs. Hi, Becca. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thanks, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you on today. And I want to just give our audience a little bit about your background. So Becca is a creative life coach whose mission is to help others to reignite their passion and excitement for life, reconnect their unique purpose, and share their truth and creativity with others using a variety of modalities, including human design. And I never can say this right,
Enneagram.
Okay. NLP and Myers-Briggs, a profound wisdom and perspective and a kind of supportive nature. She guides her clients to break their unhealthy patterns and limitations and start living more confidently, authentically, and unapologetically, which I love, in their passions and purpose. Welcome. I appreciate all of those modalities that you use.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to use. And especially personally, I feel like a lot of times people use it to box others in or kind of limit people. But when you use it to help people break out of the boxes, it is such an enlightening experience.
I like that whole concept. And so just to start with, can you just briefly kind of talk about the different things that you do, like maybe about a minute each on human design, the NLP, the Enneagram, and we all know about Myers-Briggs, but just those three kind of things, because I want to make sure my audience kind of knows what they are.
Yeah. So I started by learning Myers-Briggs back in like high school and college, and then got introduced to the Enneagram, which gets lumped in similarly with Myers-Briggs, but it's really its own study that tells you essentially from birth to about 6 years old through a balance of nature and nurture where your ego is stemmed from, where our triggers are, and how in personal growth, how we can exceed those and step outside these rooted patterns of what we're afraid of or what we tend to cling to in unhealthiness.
I love that.
Okay. Yeah. And then I'll
now,
say
NLP, I've had some training in LP, so I know about that. But
okay. Yeah. So then NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And the best way I like to describe it is it's being able to talk to the conscious and subconscious minds at the same time. It's kind of a coaching modality, whereas with traditional coaching and therapy, you're talking straight to the conscious mind. You're being asked questions, you're formulating answers, you're strategizing. And then with tools such as hypnosis, you're only talking to the subconscious mind, which can be really powerful. But if you're not also balancing that with action steps and this conscious mindset of what you're changing and why you want to change it, sometimes it's not always the long lasting change that you desire. You can go through a hypnosis session and then, you don't have the sustainability to keep it up. So NLP is a good balance of being able to talk to both parts of the mind to get them both working in the same direction to help you more easily and effortlessly be successful in your goals and the ideal version that you want to be.
I love that you said that about the, conscious and unconscious mind, and just being able to talk to the mind, both parts of the mind, because sometimes I think people get nervous, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're going to talk to my subconscious? Like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to influence me to do, but it's like, your subconscious there to protect you. So you're never going to do something that you don't actually want to do. But it's sometimes we have these deep rooted subconscious beliefs that are working against us. So when you're only doing traditional coaching or therapy, and you're like, okay, I want this, I know what I need to do, but you have these underlying repressed beliefs, it's like you're kind of doing an uphill battle to try to get to what it is that you want. So why not make it easier on yourself?
I do love that, because I think as coaches, we have to uncover some of those things for ourselves. But if we can learn to do that, then we can also, learn a better way of helping our clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then what about the human design piece?
Yeah. So human design, I have just gotten into, I'd say about 2.5 years ago now. And human design uses a blend of ancient and modern modalities, including astrology, Chinese I Ching, chakra systems, the Kabbalic tree of life, mixed with biochemistry, genetics, and quantum physics to give you an energetic blueprint of the energies that you are naturally here to share with the world, that you put out, the gifts that you're here to share, what you're here to learn, and the role that you're here to play in this lifetime. I think of human design in terms of, if the whole world is a puzzle, it really shows you what your puzzle piece is and where you're meant to fit in.
I love that explanation about that. That's a really good analogy of how that might come to really serve us in a great way. Because sometimes we're
Mm-hmm.
always on this path, and obviously we know the universe has a clear path for us, and we try to push it aside sometimes. But I love your analogy about that. I always ask everybody, like, what are the top two things that so your ideal clients struggle with that you actually help them with? So our clients, everybody in this group can actually get a better understanding of what you do and how you serve your people.
Yeah. So I say a lot of times the biggest thing is lack of motivation and or feeling blocked. Whether that's, a creative passion, whether that's your business, is a lot of times we're so into it that we can like burn ourselves out, or we can't find the inspiration anymore, or we just don't want to do it anymore and kind of get in a slump. So really helping people break out of what's keeping them stuck and holding them back, and kind of reigniting that inspiration and motivation to move forward. And then I would say helping my clients identify and embody their uniqueness. I think a lot of times, I think especially as coaches, we can all kind of relate to, there's so often these like blueprints of, hey, this is how you need to do your business. Hey, this is how your life should look. Hey, these are the goals that you should have. And whether they come from our family growing up or society or whatever industry you're in, we have these kind of expectations weighing down on us and pressuring us on who we need to be, how we need to show up, what we need to do. And a lot of the times, like, these aren't us. It's not what we're, and going back to kind of like the human design analogy, it's like, it's not how we're supposed to, like, we have a unique way that we're here to show up and what we're supposed to do. So if we're trying to follow what everyone's laid out for us instead of living true to ourselves, that can alone bring about like the burnout and the blocks and, depression and whatnot. So, being able to help identify who you are, what you're here to do, and get excited about what you're here to share, and truly embodying it. And that, like, you don't have to pretend to be anybody else. You don't have to do things the way that anyone else is telling you to do them. All you have to do is live the life that you are here and meant to live.
I really do enjoy that all that you just said, because I do feel like, there's a lot of coaches in this group, but I talk to a lot of coaches in and outside of this group and just other entrepreneurs. And I really find that we are so stuck, especially if you're just coming into this entrepreneurship, or maybe you've done it for a while, but you're not scaling and growing your business. But we're so stuck on what we've been told our whole life, society, and what that's looking like. And it's really not, as you said, who we are here to be. And I think we get so stuck on, oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's can be so powerful for, any entrepreneur or anybody in life, just to go through some of these things that you provide, these modalities that you provide. I know I've been doing it, and I'm seeing such tremendous growth for myself that these modalities truly, truly work. And so you call yourself a creative life coach. How did you decide to become that? And what exactly is a creative life coach? Is it different from a regular life coach?
I would say for the most part, it's about the same. I kind of came up with the term creative life coach for a couple of reasons. One, because I want to help people either reignite their creativity or bring it out if they've never felt creative or felt like they could be creative. I believe that our personal and creative expression is so important and needed in the world, that helping people come back to that is really key here in bringing community together and share. We all have these deep perspectives to share, and that tends to come out through our creative ways. So kind of partially in determining clientele of who I want to work with, and then partially the aspect of we get to create the lives that we want. So I feel like just saying, oh, I'm a life coach kind of has, I wouldn't say like a stigma around it, but it's like people have an idea of what a life coach is. And it's like, oh, you're going to tell me how to live my life or live my life this way. And it's like, no, we get to create it together, and you get to call the shots on what that looks like, and you get to create what it is that you want for your life at any moment. So it was kind of a blend of the two together.
Yeah, and I like that because it does actually help you stand apart from just a life coach. And I don't want to say just a life coach, but from life coaches, it helps you stand apart. So you're actually branding yourself in that way. And I think we all have the ability to do that. You're so right when you say that we have the ability to be who we are and be creative. I've seen a lot of coaches because I do websites. And so I've seen some of the coaches go in and create their websites very muted, very, toned down. But then all of a sudden, as they see this visual in front of them, they start changing things around, and like they go to very, very bold, very bright colors, very, and their creativeness comes out. And I've seen the opposite happen too. So we all have that special feel inside of us, and that's great that you can help them actually come out with that and say, yes, I can be this, I can be me. And so I really enjoy that you do that. What do you think are some of the ways that we tend to keep ourselves stuck or blocked or just not moving forward in life and our business?
Yeah. So there's a couple ways that I found through working with clients, and I'm sure with other coaches here, they're like, it's not going to be new. But they're ways that we tend to keep ourselves stuck in these complacent places, or for settling for things, or for changing ourselves. And the first one is that we tend to be unaware of what's for us and what's for others. So kind of like I mentioned before, is when, especially, I would say like in coaching and entrepreneurship, is people tell you, oh, this is what you need to be successful, this is what you need to do, is often we just kind of take that and we're like, okay, this is what I have to do, but not discerning what is for us, what isn't for us. Does this actually resonate with me? Or can I be okay letting some of this go? And can I be successful and happy doing things a different way, even if it goes against what's expected or the norms or what you typically see?
Okay, and so how would you help somebody? Because this is a thing that I actually see in working with a lot of coaches. How do you help them go against what somebody's telling them and just to feel comfortable in doing what they want? Because a lot of coaches get stuck in that. They think they're supposed to be a certain way to do health coaching, to do life coaching, to do nurse coaching, to do yoga coaching, whatever. And so how do you get them to start changing and shifting that mindset?
So a couple thkind one is going to be kind of the self-exploration aspect, really, tuning into that human design, maybe some of the Enneagram, kind of, and general self-exploration. Like, what do you get really excited about? What do you dream about? What do you really desire for yourself and your business and your life? And getting really clear on that. And then I would say the second step is to be open to experimenting, like really embracing the fact that like nothing is permanent. So why not try something out and see how it feels? I'd say, like, as an example, I've like an example from yesterday is, so in addition to being a coach, I've been a creative freelancer pretty much like my entire adult life, but I've been a freelance model since I was 18. And when I started coaching, I kind of put the modeling on the back burner because I was like, well, I don't want to have people feel a certain way about it or get judged or criticized. Like, whatever, I'll just put it over there and focus on my business because I'm so excited about my business and coaching and helping people. I'm going to do that. So yesterday I revisited, I had my first photo shoot that I had in like 3 years probably. And I feel so lit up by it and just kind of had this light bulb moment of, no, this is something that I genuinely love doing, that I'm passionate about doing. It's part of my creative expression. And I can have both. Who says that I can't have both or do both? That was just my own insecurities or other people's projections that I was letting control me, but didn't have to be the case. And so just experimenting and trying the shootout yesterday and was like, I'll see how it goes, how I feel about it. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do both. You can. And so as an example is like, you can always test out something different and see how it looks, how it feels, how the response is. And if you don't like it, then you can just change it.
And that's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay, because I always tell the coaches to try out like, different, whatever you think your niche market is, right? I mean, if these are the things that they're dealing with, the challenges, and, come up with different ways and solutions of, helping them or talking to them to see what works. It's okay to do different things. Will you put that kind of modeling into your business somehow?
Probably. I mean, like all the images I have on my website were from a photo shoot that I did. And I have like my portfolio on my website. But I think I definitely want to find more, like now that I'm feeling excited about it, I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate this in a little bit more? I've even thought about maybe hosting some like workshops and stuff and having modeling be a part of it and doing like empowerment shoots for people. So there's like ideas brewing with that, but it definitely has, yeah, just kind of a light bulb moment of like, okay, like this has to still be a part of my life somehow. You can't just repress it and something that you feel so strongly and passionate about.
Yeah. And so how would you talk, like, because I know for a lot of coaches in here, they have children and they have families, and they get stuck, well, this is still like, I can't give up so much time over here, and I want to do this over here, but how do I do that? I also have coaches that say, I've got everything that I need, but I'm not reaching the audience that I want. So obviously they have to do something different, and I think sometimes they're, like you said, suppressing what they really just want to come out and say. Like they're not totally being who they are. They might talk a little different, or their tone in a post isn't really who they are. So if you're bold, be bold, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're our own worst critics. And so a lot of times we might think we're coming off a certain way, or we're like, oh, people are going to feel this way if I say this or if I do this. But feel like often like that's really not the case. I know most commonly I hear it in marketing is people are like, oh, I keep talking about my offer, like I'm going to annoy people and push people away. And then you talk to someone, they're like, oh, I didn't even know that you were doing, like, I haven't seen you talk about it. And you're like, oh, because I thought I was annoying everyone with just talking about my business. So yeah, it's just, I would say just experimenting with it. And this is kind of where I would say that coaching can come in handy. I think a lot of times, especially as coaches, is like when we invest in coaches, it tends to be investing in a business coach, and you do some of the inner work with the business coach, or like a money coach or something like that, that has like a dual purpose, which is great and has its place. But sometimes we forget to come back to the core of, I am an individual. I am not my business. So I need to be tended to and taken care of. And if I can't express myself fully, how can I expect myself to express myself fully in my business?
Right.
Like
Right.
it starts with us.
And then if you're not really expressing yourself fully, are you really being authentic?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Will your audience kind of know that you're not that? Like, if you're someone who is bold and everything around in your circle, your family and all that, and then you come online and you're not that person,
Mm-hmm.
there's this disconnect.
Yep, absolutely. And if you're, you mentioned kind of a time management, like, oh, I'm juggling this and this, or trying to find balance here and here. That's a life thing. That's your priorities. What's important to you? What kind of routine do you want? Do you thrive from? How can we find balance in your life with all these? It's not, you don't just get that from a business coach necessarily, or working on your business, or stepping away from your business. It's about you and your life and your priorities and your needs.
Yes, and it's okay to do that. So is that one of the ways, and what other ways can we help ourselves to get unstuck?
Yeah. So the other way that I talk about a lot is our subconscious fears. We kind of touched on it a little bit already, but like our subconscious fears and beliefs and our sense of worthiness. So if we're not aware of what those are, they're in the background kind of keeping us stuck and holding us back without us being aware of them or realizing that they're happening. So really I think a huge key, especially after learning some of the NLP techniques, is to do the work to bring those to light, to learn to love and accept and heal from those wounds. Um, because again, it's an uphill battle if we're trying to do all the things to be successful and to be happy, and then we have these underlying beliefs within us telling us that we're not capable of it, or that we can't show up a certain way, or that people are going to feel a certain way, or
Mhm.
whatever else might be lingering there.
And here's the thing, I don't think a lot of people, and we were probably some of those people at one point in time, but I think we're past that now. Really don't think we have these underlying issues that are blocking us, like, because it's not well known, or maybe they just haven't gotten into that piece of education or heard about it or whatever. But I don't think a lot of people think that we have these deep rooted, and I don't want to call them issues, I want to call them just things that are we've dealt with our whole life, from our parents and our teachers and this and society and all that, that actually are blocking what we can manifest in our life.
Absolutely. I'd say like one of my favorite NLP techniques, I could do it every day and just be so happy, is time techniques,
Okay.
or sometimes it's called timeline therapy. And so when working with a client with this, you have them access their inner timeline, and you go back to the root cause of anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, and take in the lessons and release your attachment to those emotions. And that's kind of how I found NLP. Is I had a friend who got certified as a timeline therapy worker, and she used me as a practice client, and I fell in love because I had such a profound experience from it that was like, I want to do that. But when we worked together, most of my attachments to these emotions were past life or generational. They weren't even mine. I think there was only one that was mine. So, a lot, like you said, a lot of times we don't think that we have these deep rooted beliefs because they aren't ours. They're passed down to us. And we probably grew up with them, not realizing that they were actually holding us back because it's all that we've known to be. Um, and it's both. I've done I've had time techniques done for me twice now, and every time there's been huge lessons, and you just feel lighter and you feel more healed, and stuff that you didn't realize. You're like, oh yeah, I guess that was holding me back. Then I didn't realize that it was there, because you just get so used to what you're experiencing.
Exactly. And I've had that work done to myself as well. And I can tell you, I've released a lot of stuff from that. And I know people probably just still having this boggle their mind, like, how could that be,
Mhm.
pre-generational and or generational and all of that stuff. And I think it's really hard for people to understand, but I think, having some of that work done really can bring about, a lot of powerful, just like you said, a lightness to you. It's like you've just let go of some things, and maybe touch on um like the whole going back in the timeline, and how if you're angry or fearful or whatever, like if someone notices like they get triggered a lot with anxiety, or, something's triggering them, they're not quite sure what, this is be a good time for them to sit down and say, okay, let me go back. And where did I really start feeling angry all the time, or fearful all the time, or unconfident all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, a very basic NLP technique that we use a lot is if someone has a belief or a fear of insecurity, is to ask, when did you decide that? When did you decide that to be true? And, with this and with time techniques in particular is, um, you don't have to be consciously aware of it. Like, this is where, you get to the subconscious, is like, you don't have to logically understand it. You don't have to. And when you go back to the event to release the emotion, you don't have to necessarily consciously remember it and be there. You're talking to the subconscious and trusting your subconscious. So when you ask, like, when did you decide that? You're going to have an answer come up to your head, and you might be like, well, what? You don't have to know. Like, just trust it and release it. Like, okay, what can you choose to believe instead?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, if we do believe something, right? If we have
Mhm.
this negative thing about us, like, how can we switch that around? Like you said, when did you decide that, you couldn't do this business? When did you decide that?
Yeah. And it's interesting too, before learning about NLP, this never crossed my mind, but it's, um, we are more influential than we give ourselves credit for being. So a lot of times we do have these beliefs. And this is the thing, where if they're deep rooted, or if they were passed down to us, they can be a little bit more tricky to break off. But similarly, as we all grew up, or at least most of us probably grew up believing in like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy or whatnot. And then at some point you learned that it, wasn't true, and your belief changed.
Right.
And how many adults do you know going around still believing it was true as if they were a child? So just like that, is you can take a belief of your worthiness, or what you can have in success in your business, or how people treat you, and you can have it be differently.
I love the analogy you gave. Um, and I will say, I still believe in Santa Claus, but only because I
Yeah.
believe in the magic of Santa
I
Claus.
mean, yeah, technically Saint Nicholas was a real
Yes,
being.
yes. But that's a really good analogy, that you use. And so we do have that ability to change the perception of what we think something can be. So I just loved all the modalities that you use. I think you have a wealth of, modalities that you can help people with and share, and help them get past these, blocks that are holding us back from our true selves and our passion. How would somebody get in touch with you or connect with you? I'm going to put your links here, obviously, underneath this video and on my YouTube channel, so that people can connect with you. But what can they do, and where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media at the Becca Briggs. And then my website is beccabriggs.com. And I do have an archetype quiz on my website if anyone is interested, to identify, because I'd say like kind of the other way that we keep ourselves stuck is by staying in our comfort zones, which are
Mhm.
usually determined by these subconscious beliefs. So it's like, if you're feeling like you're stuck in your comfort zone and you don't know what change needs to be made, what next step to take in your personal growth, it's an archetype quiz to help you identify where you're feeling stuck, what changes need to be made, and what modalities would be best to support you in making those changes.
Awesome. I love that. And I think you mentioned here too that you have a guided meditation that is a freebie on your website, or?
I do. Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's also on my website. It's a 5-minute guided meditation for getting creatively re-inspired.
Okay, I love that. And guys, got to check out her website because it's beautifully done.
Thank you.
And so, yes, it is. It's very beautifully done. I love it. And so I'm so excited that you've been on here today. I know that you bring a wealth of knowledge, and I hope some of these guys will reach out to you if they are feeling stuck and just need to kind of move past, using some of those techniques that you have.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. We will talk to you later, and I'll be sure to, put your links up for everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.